when people look at open source, they think, oh, it's open source, you can just go and use it.
Sure.
But that's not the truth, because there are so many different licenses. Mixing licenses may cause compliance issues.
Sure.
So first of all, can you tell us, what are, even if somebody's using open source, why should they worry about compliance and licensing?
Well, there's a bunch of different reasons. Primarily from our point of view, it's like, we've got this open source community that's worked really hard to do something, and they've put it under a license for a reason. They've chosen, whether it's MIT or GPL or whatever, they've chosen that for a reason. And as a consumer, we very much want to respect those wishes and do, comply with what they want to have happen. Yes. And as a large producer of open source ourselves, we put our code under certain licenses, and we want to make it easy for people to understand that licensing and what they're supposed to do with it.
What was the drive behind Clearly?
Clearly Defined, yeah. A couple of different angles on that one. One, we've noticed a bunch of different projects that, typically smaller projects, where they have less organized, they're not part of a foundation, for example, and there's a less clarity around the licensing, or even simple things like, where's the source code? If you go and get Foo version 1, some package, right? Where's the source code for that? If you wanted to run a deep IP scan or vulnerability, security scans on it, or if you wanted to do a fix, right? But you want to fix that version, it's often difficult to find where the actual source code is. You might find the Git repo, but version 1 is some commit hash that it's hard to find often what that is. So even simple things like that were causing friction for projects to get adoption. People would show up, they'd look at the project, and they'd be comparing 3 different JSON parsers or something and saying, well, which one am I going to pick? This one has a clear license, this one doesn't. This one I know where the source code is, this one doesn't. And those are all things that go into, in a dev's mind, they're looking through, trying to pick what they're going to use, because they're taking a bet on that project. Right. So making it more clear for everybody, for the devs and in fact for the projects themselves, is just goodness all around, right? Because it reduces the friction that one might have. And then as a consumer, a large-scale consumer of open source, we're looking at lots and lots of packages, and everybody's has this problem, because today with containers or NPMs and that sort of thing, it's very easy for a team to take a dependency on hundreds, if not thousands, of other components. NPM install, and you can suddenly have 1,000 components on your machine, or grab a Docker container,
right?
And it's got 10 or 15 or 20 layers or 100 layers or something, and each one of those layers brings in some more stuff, and now you've got this image. Yeah. And it's full of things that you don't necessarily know what the license is.
Right. Anything you install has dependencies that are pulled in there.
Yes, so, yeah. Yes, exactly. So that the scale is really is amazing, because there's so much open source that's so great to use, but it's also challenging for consumers. And it's actually important to note that it's not just companies. We're talking about consumers. Right. Open source projects take dependencies on other open source projects and pass those on to their consumers. Right? So if you're in the middle there somewhere and people are showing up to you, you might be MIT licensed, but something you're using has a conflicting license on it. And if you don't know about that, now you're exposing your community to that sort of conflict, right? And that causes more friction, and people look at you and say, well, can't use that.
You don't touch it, yeah.
And so it's really about bringing that clarity around the licensing, the source code location, how I comply with the license, like attribution, who would I attribute? That's very mundane, simple information, but key to actually being respectful of the communities you're engaging with.